Switching it up. I told you guys we are going to talk about the expectation of Tua this day. On this day. Today. But in actuality, I want to talk about the team first. What is up, Finn fans? Fun fact, today at 10 o'clock, we are going to see, and it's going to be revealed, what the rivalry jerseys are that the Miami Dolphins are going to be wearing. Now, I'm going to talk about this real quick. 10 o'clock today, they will be wearing these jerseys on Week 4, Monday night against the Jets. They were leaked somewhat. Now, these look like they're them. So, if they are, cool. Love them. Fantastic. We'll get the official, again, later today at 10, but apparently this is what they will be looking like. A little bit of this. Hold on, you got one more you can look at. Again, if you're listening to the podcast, go over to the channel. You could see what everyone's looking at. This is supposedly what they're going to be looking like. What do you guys think? Now, when they officially come out, I am going to make a short and a TikTok. If you don't know, I have a TikTok. Go follow me on TikTok. Help me grow my TikTok game. But yeah, this is what they're going to be looking like. Some are telling me that this is a dark navy. Some think it's black. Regardless, I think they're beautiful. I like the shade on the aqua. I like them. But we'll see. 10 o'clock. They will officially be releasing them. And we will, I will make a short and react to them. And again, go follow me on TikTok. Also, go follow my podcast. But yeah, so let's talk about the Miami Dolphins as a team and what my expectation is going into 2025. Now, I'm not giving you a record prediction. I'm not telling you the optimistic and pessimistic reason for 2025. And I'm not talking about Tua. That is all going to be in other videos in the next coming days. We're going to talk about stats, how they did last year, kind of look at how they did retrospect in 2023, what happened last year, and what we should expect this year. Good, bad, indifferent. Again, I'm not going to say they're going to go this because blah, blah, blah. No, that will be out Tuesday. I'm thinking Tuesday. I'm going to put my record prediction video out. Sorry, I have an itchy leg. I got mosquito bites. But we're going to talk about this, right? So when it comes to statistics and the Miami Dolphins, last year, offense was not great. They were 22nd in points, 18th in yards, 17th in turnovers. That needs to be a little bit better. They were 13th in first downs. Not bad, a little bit above normal. They were 8th in attempted passes, which mean they attempted a lot of passes, 15th in passing yards. They were 19th in attempted rushes, but they were 21st in rushing, which wasn't good. Then you look at the defensive side, you got points, they were 10th. Yards, they were 4th. 27th in turnovers. I will talk about that. 5th in first downs, which is nice. 9th in passing yards. 9th in rushing, right? 5th in rushing attempts they've seen. 21st in passing attempts they've seen, which is a nice little retrospect on that shebang. When it came to third down on offense, they were 25th ranked. But on defense, they were 6th ranked, which is good. Fourth down, they were 25th ranked again, but on defense, 6th ranked. And in the red zone, they were 16th ranked. And on defense, they were 4th. So a pretty sound defense last year. And at times, you know, our secondary was injured, whether at some point Cater. But Storm Duck was one of our starters. Ethan Bonner had to come in at some point. I apologize. I cleared my throat. I'm going to be clearing my throat a good amount because I'm still sick. But yeah, so that is kind of your statistics. And then when you kind of look at 2023 in retrospect of last year, 2023 was a well-rounded team. The defense wasn't great, right? We were number 2 passing, number 1 in yards. I will say this, though. A lot of those started to fall off as the year went on in 2023 because that Tennessee Titan game took a toll on us physically. A lot of people talk about that Tennessee Titan game. Obviously, it's a big thorn in our sides because we win that game, we beat Dallas, we clinch the division, yada yada, blah blah blah. Injuries is the theme for 2023 and 2024 in actuality, because again, you look at 2024 and there were games that we could have won if we had a better quarterback at the helm. Seattle going in there, we had Skyler, who then gets hurt, and then Tim Boyle, I think, comes in. Tennessee Titans, we had Snoop Huntley, who barely had any grasp on the offense, come in, didn't do great. Indianapolis Colts, we had fumbles, and again, Snoop Huntley is your quarterback. Those 3 games, to me, had a better quarterback play, we would have won them. Again, that's my opinion. Some people would laugh at me, especially the Tennessee Titan game. When you look at how that went down, which again, that's where the image of Chris Greer kind of hiding. Halftime, the score was 9-3. And if you're telling me we didn't have better quarterback play at halftime, being 9-3, and at one point they scored a touchdown because of something having to do with the kickoff, and they got the ball on their own, like on the Dolphins, like 5 or something like that. But even going into the fourth quarter, it was 19-6. You're only down by 2 scores. Again, you can't tell me that not having a better quarterback who understood the offense, we don't win that Titans game. And especially because it was at home. Same thing with Seattle. I've talked about Seattle ad nauseum. 13-7 in the first quarter. Then the Seattle Seahawks didn't score a point for 2.5 quarters. You're telling me if we didn't have a better quarterback play, moving the ball and doing more, we don't win that game and make it close? And then obviously you have the Colts game, right? So a big factor in 2024 obviously has to do with the health of our quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, which I will talk about, probably will be tomorrow's video, my expectations for Tua in 2025. But if we had Tua for at least however many of those games, we ended the season, 8-9? Very easily could have been a 9-win team, 10-win team. Just needed 2 more wins if Tua played the full season. And he missed a bunch of games. So, that's one lining factor. The other, running the ball. Now, we have a run game coordinator as our head coach, right? And he, for some reason, loves to abandon the run, especially when it's working. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But there's something I want to show you guys. And this was a thing in 2023. So last year, we saw cover 2 high safeties, 51.6% of the time. That was number 1 in the NFL. We saw a single high safety, essentially putting more defenders in the box, essentially trying to stop mobile quarterbacks or to try to stop the run. 32nd. 32nd in the NFL, 44.8% of the time. You might be asking yourself, Doug, where are you getting these informations from? I'm getting it from ftnfantasy.com. I'll show you real quick. This is where I get my information from when it comes to that stuff, because you can go by coverage and tendencies and stuff like that. It's a really cool site. Go check it out. So there's that, right? And then in 2023, we had such crazy high powered passing offense. We saw more cover 2. We saw it 57.9% of the time, and we saw single high even less, 38.2% of the time. Yet we were still had one of the best offenses for the first 3 quarters of the season. McDaniel bailing on the run and using it as the coverage as an excuse, I don't like. But what will help is if you run the ball. Because again, if you run the ball and force them to not be in cover 2 as much, then you really can open it up and get the ball down the field. So that's kind of the statistics of what we were looking at last year, right? Middle to bottom of the NFL when it came to offense. Top tier, top 10, top 11, however you want to splice it. Defense, even though we weren't getting sacks, our sack production was wasn't great. It wasn't. I think we were like 27th in the NFL in sacks. We had 35 sacks, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27th. 27th in the NFL in sacks. Pressure percentage, we were probably high 20s. Hurry percentage, we were mid-tier when it came to hurry percentage, hurrying the quarterback. I would say probably about 12th, 13th. Unfortunately, on this site, they don't give me numbers, and I don't feel like standing here and counting it for you. So I apologize. Blitzing wise, we didn't blitz much. Again, kind of the same as the hurry percentage. So definitely need to do more when it came to getting after the quarterback, sacking the quarterback. You know, you look at, hey, you know, we were 10th in points and 4th in yards and 9th in passing and 9th in rushing defense. This is all good. Yeah, but 27th in turnovers, 27th in sacks. That needs to be much better, especially when you're facing teams that have these mobile quarterbacks, or you're facing these teams that you need that extra down. You can't tell me in Buffalo, where we lost by 3, being able to sack Josh Allen wouldn't help. We lost by 61-yard field goal. And to me, that was like one of Tua's best games. Chalk that up there with the Arizona Cardinals game and the Baltimore Ravens game and all these games in his career that, you know, people like to point out, like, he can play. Buffalo, in Buffalo. You can even look at 2022 in Buffalo. Got to get after him. Got to get those sacks. Pause on that. Real quick, we'll just talk about leaders. And again, I'm not talking passing. Devon Achane was the leading rusher, 907 yards. He had 6 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. That was also leading. When it comes to receiving, Tyreek Hill was 1. Jonnu Smith was number 2 because they had to start incorporating him because our receivers were banged up and couldn't really get open. And he led the team in receiving yards with 8. Touchdown, sorry. Third was Devon Achane with 6. He also had 592 receiving yards, which was 4th. All purpose, the man had 1,400 and some odd yards. Crazy, absolutely craziness. And then on defense, our sack leader was Zach Steeler, hence him getting the money he did. Chop Robinson was second with 6 sacks, and then Calais Campbell with 5. Total tackles, your leader was Jordan Brooks, who is still with us, thank God, and one of the leaders. Number 2 was actually Jordan Poyer, interesting enough. Interceptions, your leader was Terrell Dotson with 3 interceptions. Then second was Jalen Ramsey, and then Kader Kohu with tying with second. That's not good. The fact that Zach Steeler had 1 interception and Jalen Ramsey and Kader Kohu each had 2, that's not good. That's not good at all. And that's kind of, it seems like, where they're going to be focusing on, especially on defense this year, with getting the ball turnovers. Because even Anthony Weaver came out and he's like, we got to get more turnovers. We got to really focus on getting after the ball and getting turnovers. So kind of let's go into my expectations of the 2025 Miami Dolphins when it comes to an offense and defensive base. I need to see better out of McDaniel. Now, here's the thing about this team, and I'm going to go into more detail on essentially, like, obviously I'm going to be picking the games for the record prediction and kind of this can't happen, this can happen, yada, yada, and especially when I go to being optimistic and pessimistic. But Mike McDaniel, and again, as much as people probably don't want to believe this, Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa, and Chris Grier, seats are on fire, right? And Tua can only control a certain aspect of that, unfortunately, but he is still under the biggest microscope you can find because the Dolphins can move off from him next year and save money. And 2026's draft has very good quarterbacks. Like, it is what it is. And if your head coach and your GM are gone, they're going to want to bring in somebody who they're going to pick, right? We can't do what we did with McDaniel, right? McDaniel had 1 head coaching interview. It was the Dolphins, because the Dolphins, again, narrowed their net saying you got to work with Tua and you have to keep Josh Boyer. And all these other head coaching candidates are like, well, then I don't want to work there. I want to go somewhere where I pick my assistants, my coordinators, and I want to be able to pick my quarterback. Now, I think they probably would have gotten more candidates if they said, you know, we want to see if you can work with Tua, but it's not a deal breaker, essentially. Like, come in, see what you like of Tua, and if you're like, nah, this isn't going to work because of X, Y, and Z, cool, we'll move on, yada, yada. Same thing with Boyer, not Poyer. But that's not what happened. We got Mike McDaniel. So Mike McDaniel's seat is pretty hot. Pretty hot. 4 games. 4 games. I'm honestly thinking if he goes 1-3, he might not make it to game 5. I'm being honest with you, especially because the love fest I'm hearing about Anthony Weaver, not only from the assistant coaches, but from the players, that I'm giving McDaniel 4 games. I'll give him 5, right? I'll give him 5 games. Because if this team is floundering, and I'm going to talk about some of those things, he's probably fired. We have a late bye, so, they're not going to wait till that, especially because if the wheels keep falling off of this sucker, they're going to start trading away talent. So he's got that. So he needs to do better, McDaniel, when it comes to the play call time, especially with all these motions. I'm pretty sure, again, I'm going to fantasy, FTN fantasy. If I look up their motions and stuff when it comes to the offense, they're probably like ridiculously high because we use that. Now, I get it to use it to recognize man zone. The Dolphins are last year second. They were actually second in the NFL to LA. The Chargers. I'm assuming this is the Chargers. No, the Rams. They're second to McVay and the Rams in motion percentage. The Rams were 76.6. The Dolphins were 72.8. And last year, it's loading. Who was first? The Dolphins were first, 77.2. And then the next was 64.4 was the 49ers. So he loves those motions, right? And it does help getting, you're moving horizontally, and then you allow Tyreek to get the speed and take off and all that stuff. It does help, but you got to be able to allow your quarterbacks to read the defense and be able to recognize, okay, I'm starting to see, as the ball's about to be hiked, I'm starting to see the safety come down, and okay, I might have this here. Oh, the linebackers are shifting. I see that corner starting to creep at the line. He might be blitzing. I want to call my coverage to go to that side. If you don't give time for these things, it's a problem. And Tua even called that out after the playoff game in Kansas City because there's not enough time, because you get the play call and you have to tell the play call, then you get to the line of scrimmage, and then you have to be able to read the defense and then allow time for the motion to happen. You got 40 seconds. It's not a lot. 40 seconds isn't a lot. So they need to do better with the play calling time, right? Turnovers, I talked about that, especially on defense. 27th last year. In 2023, they were 8th. 8th. So that turnover ratio needs to be better. And that's something Anthony Weaver said he's going to focus on, he's going to work on. From what I saw against the Jaguars in joint practice, first play of the game was a sack by Sealer, and then we had Minka Fitzpatrick with an interception. Easily could have been a pick 6. We had Jack Jones with an interception, and these were all on Trevor Lawrence. So, if that's a forthcoming that we're seeing, I think we should be good with the turnover ratio. And, I was going into training camp, I was very worried about this team when it came to certain aspects of the team. I'm not as worried anymore because, again, we heard things like, they're going to focus on the pass rush, and then the secondary will benefit off the pass rush. And in my head, I'm like, that'll only work for so far and so long because, again, this pass rush could be dynamic. You just have quick slants and all these other different plays, like, when we started zero blitzing with Brian Flores. All of a sudden, that pass rush doesn't get there in time. Guys are open, especially if these corners don't play well at jamming, or if they're playing off because they're afraid of getting deep. You just keep running slants and just get the ball out quick, and then all of a sudden, these pass rush doesn't get there. So, but after seeing training camp and after seeing how these guys are working, and then in the addition of Matt Judon and the 4, that rotation, and at one point against the Jaguars, yes, it was their backup, we saw Chubb get a sack, and like an instant sack, and not Chop got the sack, and Chubb and Phillips were on the boundary. Like, it's going to be crazy. So there's that. Making adjustments. is something that Mike McDaniel needs to do, right? His halftime adjustments need to be a little bit better. Him sticking to certain aspects and giving up on others, right? Like the bubble screens. I get it. But you are now with the bubble screen team, right? Everyone and their mother, oh, we're playing Miami next week. Okay, let's really focus on recognizing and sniffing out bubble screens. That's what your opposing defense is going to be doing. They're going to be focusing on not playing too far back as a corner to be able to rush if you take any sense or iota that this is going to be a bubble screen. And if you're McDaniel and know that, feed off of that, right? Have a bubble screen, but also have a play on top of the bubble screen. Have something, have a bubble screen to Tyreek, but then also have your tight end going down the seam. Something, right? Or your running back going out, have something, because they started to incorporate that a little bit last year, especially with the screens to Devon Achane, where instead of going out towards the sideline, he kind of went more in, and the blockers took the outside blocking away, and he cut it in. Start to make adjustments, but on the fly. It seems like that's where he struggles with adjustments on the fly, especially with running the ball. There's been times where we were doing really well running the ball and he stopped running the ball, and his excuse was, oh, well, I started noticing that they were playing single high safety, or I started noticing, they were doing this. My man, statistically, no. How about that? Statistically, no. Like I said, 2023, 32nd ranked in the NFL, 38.2% of the time you saw single high safety. Last year, you saw single high safety even more, 44.8% of the time. Still dead last. You were seeing cover two out the butt. Run the ball and stick with it, especially if you're getting the yardage and the chunk plays. What game was it? The flip-flopping in the Flim Flam Chiefs game, where we had Tyreek Hill drop a potential touchdown, Tyreek Hill fumble the ball, then Jalen Waddle drops a pass. Obviously, Tua misses a wide open touchdown. But to take all that and put it aside, right? Let's just take all that and put it aside. 2 runs from Raheem Mostert got us down to the 31, and we threw it 4 times. Why? And that's what I'm talking about. Don't abandon that. Just because you think, oh, they're expecting it. Cool. They were expecting us to run the ball against the Dallas Cowboys, and we still got the first down. They were expecting us to run the ball week 1 against the Jaguars, and we still got the first down. Run the ball. Trust your guys. Put that oomph behind them. At least 2 times, and then it's 3rd and whatever, and do what you got to do. But it's like, those are the things that lost that game, and people like to focus on Tua and saying, well, Tua couldn't beat the Chiefs. Yeah, I will agree with the pass that could have been a touchdown to Cedric Wilson 100%. And then the botched snap I think is between the center and Tua. Yeah, those 2 plays definitely lost the game for us. But Tua wasn't the reason we lost the game. And I gave you the other reasons. You know what I'm saying? So Mike McDaniel needs to make adjustments, but he also needs to stick to what's working and abandon what's not. Because especially if, the head coach of the Texans knows you, but if he knows you, don't do it. Especially if he's going to say, oh, there's a bubble screen to Jonnu. And then they stop it. You got to work on that. We only lost that game by 8 points. Like, come on. Challenges. 3 out of 12. Mike McDaniel. 3 out of 12 challenges he wins. Got to do better than that, my man. And the challenges are bad, and the timeout wastes are bad, and all that is just bad. But looking at 2025, it's such an enigma of a year, in all honesty. Like 2023 going into that, you were looking at the team and you're like, wow, look at the players we got. Look at the offensive line and the defense, and this team's going to be good. And then going into 2024, you're like, hey, if it wasn't for injuries, we could have been good, and we just added some, stout, veteran defense. We could do something here. Now we're sitting in 2025, like, I have no idea. Secondary is a big fat question mark outside of Mika Fitzpatrick. What Rasul Douglas are we going to get? How is everyone else going to play? Obviously, I'm going to talk about Tua tomorrow. How's the run game going to look? How's this offensive line going to look? Are they going to work well together? Is James Daniels going to look good? Is Austin Jackson going to look good? These guys haven't played football in a very long time. Aaron Brewer, how's the rookie going to look? How is Patrick? Like, there's so many question marks with this team, but my expectation is, especially for a head coach that's job is on the line, you gotta beat it goes back to 2023 where we got crap for only beating losing teams. You gotta beat the teams you're supposed to. Like, I don't understand why people were so upset about that, right? You got to 11 wins because you took care of business. You got to take care of business. Now, there's one business you didn't take care of, and look what happened. Got to take care of business. So to me, my expectation for 2025 is all or nothing, right? This is it. This is it, in my opinion, for Greer, for McDaniel. So my expectation is you better get to the playoffs, you better win, or this thing's getting burned down. Now, am I saying that's going to happen? Not necessarily, but that's what I'm expecting. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not predicting it, but I'm expecting it. Because if not, you're gone. And we will see. Again, I normally don't freak out about these things until about week 5. And I think that's when the Titans game was last year. I think it was week 5. No, week 4. So yeah, week 4, week 5 is when I'm like, we got problems. We started 1-0, beat Jacksonville, had that great fumble from Javon Holland, and then lost 3 straight. If that happens again this year, I don't think McDaniel makes it to week 5. I'm being honest with you. This is my opinion, but I'm being honest with you. We beat the Indianapolis Colts, but then we lose to the Jets, the Bills, and the Patriots, and we're 0-3 in the division. I think Mike's fired. So that's my expectation of this team in 2025. More turnovers on defense, more pressure, more sacks on defense. I need to see consistency from the run game. McDaniel needs to be more hands-on, but also he needs to be better at making adjustments, abandon what's not working, stick with what is working. And you got to take care of business. You got to take care of business. You got to stay healthy. Every year it's health. 2023, hot. Started off 10-3. We were like pretty much number 1 seed. 10-4. We started 9-3 and then lost to the Titans. So 9-3. At that point, we were vying for the number 1 seed. Then we go into Baltimore 11-4. The winner of that game was getting the number 1 seed, and whoever the quarterback of the team that won was getting the MVP. And you can laugh all you want to, was third going into that game when it came to the betting. Health. We went into that game limping, and then we went into the Bills game crawling, and then we went into the Chiefs game just slugging it on the ground, just health. Same thing last year. Teron started getting hurt. Austin Jackson goes down with an injury. We had Carmen as our right tackle at one point. Tua gets hurt. Tyreek Hill's playing with 2 bad wrists. Raheem Mostert gets hurt at some point. He's fumbling. It was just bang, bang, bang. But here's the thing. No one's expecting Miami to do anything this year. A lot of people expected Miami to do something last year. And a lot of times when we are expected to do something, we fall on our face. 2008, no one expected anything. We won the division. 2009, okay, they won the division. They need to do something. We sucked. 2016, no one expected us to do anything. We went to the playoffs. 2017, we sucked. 2023, no one, they'll probably be a wild card team, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. We started red hot, made the playoffs. 2024, hey, this team's good. Number 1 offense, this, and that. I think they're going to win the division. Bills have nothing. Sucked. Let's see what they do. Expectations are low. Incredibly low. But to save your jobs, you need to make the playoffs. So I expect them to make the playoffs. Will they? We'll see. I will see you tomorrow. We're going to talk to Tua Tagovailoa and what I expect out of him to stay with the Miami Dolphins. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I'm going to make a short talking about the rivalry jerseys later today, in probably like a couple hours, or maybe at like 1 o'clock or whatever. But yeah, what's your expectations of this team? What do you want to see from the offense, from the defense, from Mike McDaniel, all that stuff? And we will talk quarterbacks tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy. Effins out.